A spider spins itself away until only the web remains. Who is the prisoner? So you're sending me to hell simply because I created certain experiences for other people? Time for a mysterious message from Dr. Rufus. I wear a long sleeve, so I believe ye. These are statements made by one of Team Cherry's developers, William Pellen, but what does it all mean? Psych, you thought this was going to be an analysis of his cryptic tweets? Absolutely not. Today happens to be William Pellen's cake day, at least for the Reddit account that he used prior to creating William_Team Cherry. So I thought it might be nice to go through some of the highlights that you might have missed. Like this absolute banger where he found out in 2015 that some people flip their eggs upside down. Or the subreddit he created in 2017 to post once and only once and never again with this meme. Okay, I promise it does actually get better from here and relevant to Hollow Knight, and I'm sure everyone here already knows that Hollow Knight was funded through a wildly successful Kickstarter campaign that ran for 1 month between the 19th of November and 19th of December in the year 2014. What you may not know is that before the Kickstarter, William was a regular contributor to a recurring thread on r/GameDev called Screenshot Saturday. This is where devs would share their progress on whatever they're working on in the form of screenshots, animations, or videos. And a month prior to the Kickstarter launch on October 11th, William shared a few screenshots to a Screenshot Saturday thread, excitedly letting everyone know about their game. It's very clear that at this point, he truly had no idea how much this game would impact the lives of many and what was in store for him over the next 10 years, because now, a decade later, he is in the final home stretch of getting the highly anticipated sequel out to the masses. Let's take a look at some of those pictures in more detail. Yes, you might recognize these as the early screenshots from the press kit with some things that didn't quite make it into the game. Climbing out of a shroom pit filled with hoppers. They really had a thing about hoppers in the early days. Did you know that they previously had hoppers instead of the much easier to handle crawlids in the Forgotten Crossroads? Exploring the winding caverns with what I presume is an early iteration of a primal aspid, though the red colour makes it seem like it might be more at home with the ants in Silksong. The original Crystal Peak, which wasn't Crystal Peak at all, but an area of the Forgotten Crossroads called the Crystal Mines. It was separated out into its own area later. On November 8th, still before the Kickstarter launched, William posted again to share some GIFs along with a release window for the game, early 2015. Spoilers, they didn't quite meet that, and I understand why they don't communicate release windows now. This time we've got travelling through the fungal wastes with another red aspid, battle with a shield zombie, battle with the infected knight, travelling the stagways by stag, and ascending through the Mylian Grotto, which is a name that you might not recognise, in an area that looks, at least to me, like Fog Canyon. Mostly because of the bubbles, really it is just the bubbles. Obviously obbles would have been swapped out for the floating jellyfish that we have now. I've checked various wiki sites and I can't find anything that confirms what Mylian Grotto ended up being. To be honest, I can't find any mention of that name anywhere, so let me know if you recall anything. So, before Silksong's Moss Grotto, there was Hollow Knight's Mylian Grotto. And before Mylian Grotto, there was Booty Grotto. Only true Hollow Knight fans know about Booty Grotto, and why does that sound so ridiculous in my voice? Booty Grotto. I think it's because I pronounce the T's too much. Anyway, Return to Booty Grotto was one of the Flash games that William worked on prior to Hollow Knight, along with Lulander, Tombcat, and everyone's favourite Hungry Knight. What if Silksong is taking so long so they can give us what we truly want, which is Return to Booty Grotto 2? Anyway, I did download the Newgrounds Flash player so I could give it a try. It is a very simple Flash game. Use WASD to get your fish to the goal while avoiding enemies and walls, but hey, it works well. Maybe I'm clutching at straws, but I feel like the map does look a bit like a very simplified Hollow Knight map, which is basically a very standard style for Metroidvanias. I might just be crazy. Back to my Reddit walk down memory lane. William posted on the 13th of November 2014, still before the Kickstarter, asking fellow devs whether it was worth using IndieDB, leading with, "So we're trying to get our game Hollow Knight out there." That is so cute, they really had no idea. Everyone is gonna love your game. Also cute is that they did indeed add Hollow Knight to IndieDB when then the Kickstarter launched, and then they added Silksong in November 2021, over 2 years after the game was revealed. Another interesting post from 2015 was this one shared to r/games that was deleted for self-promotion. Okay, yeah, fair enough, it was probably against the rules, but I can't imagine that they would remove a similar video for Silksong featuring dev commentary if it were posted by one of the devs today. Crazy to think it was like this niche little game that no one had heard of. I've got one more screenshot Saturday to highlight, but this is months after the other posts in June 2015. Obviously by now it's clear that they didn't get the game out in early 2015, but it's nice to see these little bits of Hollow Knight history. Some things that made it into the game as is, and some that didn't. This is the post that led me to their Imager account, which is a treasure trove of images, many of which you may recognize from the Kickstarter page. After Hollow Knight's release in 2017, William was still fairly active on the subreddit, responding to threads, bug reports, Q&As. He spoke about the Zote charm that he wanted to make. He casually mentioned press keys that let you play a pre-release build, so wink wink nudge nudge, if you're planning on giving any out for Silksong, I will trade you something really cool like my entire arm. Anyway, he reminded me of something that I believe we're still deprived of. So if you're not already aware, they have a whole screenshot map of the entire world of Hallownest, which even shows the order of creation of these areas, and he shared this very small snippet online as a response to someone else. It's like a here's what you could have had. I know there's an interactive version made by fans, but I want the Team Cherry edition. He did say that they'll probably release the whole thing, probably. Should I try and ask for it? Like, I don't want to be annoying, but I also really want to see it. Maybe they've forgotten about it. Maybe like later down the line when Silksong's been out for a while and we can return back to that. Eventually, he stopped posting on that account and moved over to his official Team Cherry one, which he also eventually stopped posting on, but not until after sharing some interesting trivia, like Hornet's Needle being made for her, and that there aren't many other bugs who are skillful enough to use it, which is fun to look back on given there's a lot of Needle-esque weapons in Silksong, but really I just can't wait to wield Needle myself playing as Hornet. The story behind Mr. Mushroom being as wholesome as you'd expect. An ominous mystery around Tiso's shield. Do we know what that is now? Was that ever revealed? And of course, a lot about the area cut from Hollow Knight, Bone Forest. Now, I did actually make a whole script for a video about everything cut from Hollow Knight, literally years and years ago, but Bone Forest was the kind of like near finished area below Deep Nest, and it's believed that it's now instead an area in Silksong. You know, the location with all the lava? At the very least, they probably reused some of their own original designs because, you know, why work harder when you can work smarter? And it does make sense because William, when asked about whether he considered adding ants to the world, he responded confirming that they were supposed to be in the game and they were supposed to be in the Bone Forest. Now in Silksong, we already know that we have the tribe of ants and their leader, Hunter Queen Carmelita. I really want to know, and I hope it is confirmed in the future, if these characters are new to Silksong or if they were originally planned for Hollow Knight. What if there is still some connection to Hallownest? Like I've always said, there's probably going to be some references to the original Hollow Knight game. What if it's still in the same location and Farloom is just slightly like to the left of Hallownest? We don't know where it is in this giant world. I have so many questions and I just can't wait to find out the answers, and I hope we do get the answers. So that was a fun day of looking into William Pellen's old social media post. I do feel a bit weird about it, but I hope you enjoyed seeing them too. I did specifically pick out like things related to Hollow Knight just because we're not here to look into his personal life, I only care about the games. And I do have to wonder what's the plan for Team Cherry after Silksong actually releases. Are they gonna maintain their silence or return to engaging with the community? I'll leave it at that for today. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.